Okay.
We're back.
We're back.
DJ
Okay.
Rodimus Prime.
It's fine. Okay. So, it's me this time.
No, it's Bob.
No,
Me.
it's Bob. What's Bob?
Mom and Dad.
Oh, you're right. Mom and Dad. Never mind.
Hiya, folks.
This is Mr. Shields.
Okay, this film is called Mom and Dad. It stars Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage. And I can't think of the actress who plays their daughter. Her last name is Winters. I can't.
We're going to see the
We'll
thing.
see that later.
And Winters.
And it's directed by a fellow named Brian Taylor, who was half of the team of Neville Dine and Taylor, who did the Crank movies and I think wrote Jonah Hex. And
Let's take a look
Anyway,
at it.
let's take a look.
Hey, can I go to a movie with Riley tonight?
With Riley.
Your grandparents are coming for dinner tonight, remember? Awesome. Grandpa telling his disgusting Vietnam stories.
Take my advice, don't ever have kids.
Everything just revolves around you, doesn't it? Yeah, whatever.
What's the rush today? It's like we're waiting for a buffet.
What's going on? Is that McKenna's mom?
Multiple reports are now coming in of parents murdering their own children.
Listen to me. We have to get out of the house before Mom and Dad come home. Dad?
Your right foot in, you take your right foot out. You do the hokey and you.
Yes, it's Mommy. Mommy's here. Are you two all right? We're not coming out, okay? You have to leave.
You're going to open this door.
This is a really great idea, honey.
I forgot. Your parents.
That was tonight.
Remember, it's called Sawzall for a reason. This movie. All right. First of all, let me tell you something about my background here. When I was a kid and went to the movies, when they would have a double bill, there would be the main feature, which was the latest big Hollywood production, and then there would be a second feature, which was usually a B movie, maybe a Western, maybe a crime movie. Those were the movies that always interested me more, and I remembered more because I would be surprised by those movies. As great as the main features were, they were things that I knew what was going to happen, and I needed things to happen a certain way at that point in my life. But the movies that surprised me are the ones I remember, and that is what Nicolas Cage's career is all about. Nicolas Cage, to me, is the essence of the surprises I got in B movies. And going back to, I recently read a couple of books about him. Going back to Valley Girl, which was his first movie as an adult. I think he shows up as a kid, maybe in Great Gatsby or something like that. But that was his first movie as an adult. And I think he was even maybe billed as Nicolas Coppola back in that at that point. Although I saw it again recently, and it was Nicolas Cage. But one of the books was talking about how he used Coppola until I think the Cotton Club. Anyway, whatever. He keeps astonishing me over and over and over again. My least favorite performance of his is Leaving Las Vegas.
I love that.
Because it's just, to me, that was like, okay, it's a dramatic part. There was nothing of the surprising stuff that he does consistently. The movie that one of the books I was reading said defined his career was Vampire's Kiss. Vampire's Kiss repelled me, and that's part of the reason why. Because he does something in that movie that's just so grotesque that it sort of established what he might be. And then you take a picture like Peggy Sue Got Married, where his character choice was so bizarre that even Kathleen Turner couldn't figure out what he was doing. But you can't take your eyes off him when he's on the screen. And recently, that's why I go see a Nicolas Cage movies. Some of the best ones recently are The Color Out of Space, where he simply plays like a regular family man going insane. It's an H.P. Lovecraft story, so that will give you some idea of what it's about. Mom and Dad, I was not familiar with. I started looking up all these Nicolas Cage movies because I wanted to catch up on some of them, and then some of them is, it's just a standard performance. We had mentioned before, I don't know if it was when we were on mic, about Con Air, but even what he does in Con Air and The Rock, which were the two things that really made him a super movie star, super bankable movie star, are not the usual characters. I mean, there's a thing with a teddy bear in Con Air that just becomes comical because it's a teddy bear he's bringing home to to his child, and it becomes a major plot point in this movie and his conflict with John Malkovich, who's the villain. Anyway, he's the reason I go to see movies, and that's why when I saw that he was going to be doing the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I said, this is the movie I've been waiting for, and it turned out not to be. However, the movie I was waiting for turned out to be Mom and Dad.
Shut up. It wasn't. That's the movie of all his movies?
It's his opinion.
Shock. Close up, Patty in shock. Okay.
I picked this movie for a reason. He does Nicolas Cage, pure over-the-top Nicolas Cage, and give me over the top, over under the bottom any time of the day or night. What he does in this is so fantastic that I almost missed the fact that Selma Blair matches him note for note throughout this movie. She is unbelievable in this film. She's so good. Because the basic plot of the thing is, I think I can't see about talking about this movie without telling you the basic hook of it.
That's all right. You
can tell them.
It's like as you see in the trailer here, it's this nice little cliched suburban community. When you meet their daughter in the first scene, she's so obnoxious you want to strangle her.
Yeah.
Like all teenagers.
And her friends like that too. They're just, it's like the typical characters you see in these things, and I'm so sick and tired of seeing like kids, like especially girls, going, "My mother's such a bitch."
You're right.
It's like that's not the way you talk to your parents in my day and age. And so I'm an older guy, but that bugs me when I see that. So when the plot hook comes around, which is that for some unexplainable reason, and it's never explained, all of a sudden every parent in this community, when they see their child, is compelled to murder them. And just murder them violently. This is a very, very violent movie. And I'm not a big fan of violence, but this movie justified it because what they're saying, it's so subtle. I mean, this fellow Brian Taylor, who directed the Crank movies with another guy named Neville Dean, they had sort of a weird kinetic style of filmmaking that was like, wow, I've never seen anything quite like this before. It goes over the top. It's offensive in many cases, but I can't stop watching it. And this movie has that quality to it because the daughter, who becomes basically the heroine, the protagonist of the movie, is so obnoxious in the beginning that you kind of want to kill her.
Yeah.
And then she becomes like, then you are rooting for her and her brother, who both of these kids are sensational, by the way. You are rooting so much for these kids when it gets back into the house, because that's where the movie really just sets fire, comes to life when they are home. Daddy's home and he's trying to kill them, and they're running from him. And Mommy's on the phone on the car saying, "Honey, I'll be home soon. I'll be there to take care of you." And at that point she still means it. It's not until she gets into the house and sees the child that then she is just, and there's never any explanation. All of a sudden, all she can do is try to kill them. And it's so edge of the seat to me what goes on in here, even though a lot of the stuff you've seen before, but they just, because of the performances, it goes to someplace I'd never seen before. These actors are so incredible in this, and let's face it. I mean, they're not given any motivation for why this is happening. And at the beginning of the movie, under the titles, there's some static, but so what? It's never explained. You don't know what at the end of this movie. You don't know what's going on outside the house. It's just all about what happens inside the house. And in fact, Cage saves his big Nicolas Cage moment for the very end of the movie, which is one of the greatest endings of a movie I've ever seen. It's been criticized as being too abrupt. I watched it again with a friend of mine the other day, and he said, I don't know, that just ended so quickly. To me, it was perfect. And it's perfect because no actor other than Nicolas Cage could have done it. Kind of know that going in, but to see that no actress other than Selma Blair could have done it was the revelation and the surprise. And the girl who plays the daughter becomes like a heroine you're really rooting for after not really liking her, and her brother is just really a really likable kid too. So it's a weird one. As you already heard one of the reactions at the table to it. I don't think that Patty will be alone in that, but the fact is, this movie really did stuff for me that was mind blowing. So
Okay.
Well, that's good.
That's yeah. I'm more on Patty team here. It was first of all, it's an interesting genre, horror comedy. That it has a lot of very funny parts as well as really graphic kind of violence stuff. I could complain about the plot that was not explained. It's an interesting concept, though, although they never explain it. The concept is taking a biologically a biological instinct of a parent to protect their children, and then somehow something happens on the TV, and all of a sudden it reverses itself. They never explain why it reverses itself, but it is an interesting premise. If that sense of energy, would reverse itself, how violent and dangerous could that be? So that's kind of interesting concept. It's like Twilight Zone-ish, kind of. Oh wait, where am I going? But maybe it's not important, but somehow that they didn't explain the mechanics of how this works makes it not like a sci-fi or something that it just kind of happens and you have to accept it. That's basically it. Possibly that's too much to ask. There's one scene though between Selma Blair and Kendall Ryan and Nicolas Cage, who plays Brent Ryan. He's smashing the pool table that you saw in the preview, and there's kind of doing a soliloquy there. He's and he's talking about everything that is repressed about becoming an adult and parent, and that's kind of the thing. It's like this rage of this forgotten youth kind of thing, or gave up youth for these children and this house and that wife and that. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but again, I needed more explanation about the whole thing. Okay.
Let me erase this.
Yeah. Not my genre. It's not my genre. Yeah. But it was there were funny parts, and that's one thing about Nicolas Cage. He can also be really annoying and funny at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the movie because I kept thinking of it reminded me of an 80s B slasher movie, which I love the 80s. I love the movies. and also because Nicolas Cage is over the top, he's perfect for this film. His character. He needs to be somebody that wants to kill the kids. I thought the movie's made for parents because it goes into that psychological thing that, because they do discuss it, like when you say when he breaks up the
yeah, that
pool
was
table,
really good.
They talk about, he's constantly reminiscing about driving the Trans Am with the girl on top, and then they discuss how everybody has visions of what the future is going to be. I'm going to do this, I'm going to be that, become that, I'm going to be a football star or rock star, or she's going to be whatever. And then you have kids, and then reality sets in, and now that kind of changes your life, your trajectory. So in a way, they kind of, it's putting it like, to me, like I'm sure that some parents might have regrets that the kids screwed up their lives. Now that I was gonna do this, and I had, for a reason, I don't have children, and that stopped me from achieving this. Now, technically, nature makes you love your kids, so it's okay, it's fine. No, but I did not have that life.
Well, most of the time, yes.
But I think there's people who see, the movie is coming from that perspective of people. Let's say the movies for parents who regret their life because of pesky kids screwed up their lives, they didn't reach their dreams, and now they're little assholes, teenagers. So, and I'm sure a lot of parents went and saw the movie and they're killing the kids and go, yeah, I see that, I can't get that, I can see it now. It was back to their teenage daughter and son. Yeah, how many parents go, I wish I could kill you. So, yeah, so that's to me that was the point of the movie. But and then I thought the ending was kind of a little abrupt too. I was like, what happened? And and also, but it does try to go scientific too. Like those big movies, they always have some kind of scientific stuff that you go, well, that kind of makes sense actually. Because it does discuss how animals will kill their offspring too sometimes if they need to. Like you see, elephants will do it, or
all animals.
All animals will do it. So it's
lions eat their cubs.
What's stopping us from doing it too? But we just more so instinctively. So it does get into that scientific point, but it describes. It doesn't tell you how the thing happened, but it keeps it a mystery. But it gives you a couple of theories of how it happened. And they have Dr. Ross also coming up and telling you what's going on, what happened. But so I see where we're going. So, but it did remind me of like I'm watching a trauma film, maybe. So, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Very much so. I agree. I thought it was like a trauma film. In fact, Dr. Oz showing up was actually the biggest surprise in the whole movie. I thought, well, I understand why they're using him, but did he really know? Did he read the script in this movie? Because I felt the same way about Massive. It's like, it's sort of entertaining and it's not really slow. And another thing I really liked about the movie, I told Patty this, is that it was 85 minutes. This
Thank
was
God.
This was short and to the point, and like Crank, it's sort of unrelentless. It really never stops. So there's a good kinetic energy going with it.
Is that Jason Statham, Crank?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but it's interesting.
They did 2 Crank movies, actually.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I have to admit, it's like, this sort of left me cold. And, I was thinking about the M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. About The Happening. Because, the same thing, this instinct to survive gets turned off, and so people start killing themselves. So that's what I thought, okay, I can go. As long as you just say, I don't need to know the science behind it. You just go with the premise. You watch let it be like a Zen experience. Though be prepared. I agree with you, Susie. It's like violent. It's sort of disgusting. I have to admit, I did find some parts funny, but overall, I just thought, I'm just watching it because it's entertaining me like a music video would, even though I don't like the song and I don't really even care much the visuals, but something I'm going to watch it to the end, and that's what I did. But I actually thought the ending was actually appropriate. I thought that's the best way to end it, because the thing is, it sort of, well, first of all, you can make Mom and Dad too, because you really have no idea how long any of this is lasting. So it was just an odd film for me. It really was, because it's like, I had no problem sitting down and watching it from beginning to end, and yet I just kept thinking, oh, is it going to get better, or is this going to happen? And I thought it was sort of predictable in certain moments too, but the fact that it was the parents killing their children that I actually thought was the most entertaining part, because it's like you could see the satisfaction out of some of these women, because don't forget, it's not even the mother says about her daughter, oh yeah, that filthy bitch of a daughter of mine steals money, she's doing the same thing that the kids are doing, right? So it's like, okay, now is this the sickness talking, or is that a real reflection of it? Because I agree with you, George, that when he has flashbacks to him having fun without having kids, right? Him in the car with the girl on top of him, or her talking about having a career. If she had just gone out and done something, maybe she would have been happier in
and
her
they
life.
show a thing that women really go through, because they have, they get pregnant, don't work for a while, take care of the kid, they come back to the work to be in the career,
right?
And they say, no, that happens a lot because you've been out of work so long.
Right.
So you're just gonna get a job.
And yet you're working.
Even if you had a skill,
the hardest you've ever
worked.
worked.
And you have a skill in the field, but you still cannot get a job.
No, exactly. So that's the one thing. I will say this though: if you're going to cast psychotic parents, I think Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage are 2 great people to cast in it, because I think she is a good actress at playing these sort of odd villainous kind of characters. But again, I would just say if you like these kind of movies, check it out. I mean, black comedies, and like I said, it's sort of relentless. I don't think you'll be bored by it by any moment.
Patty?
I do like Relentless. But the thing I do not like is no explanation for why this is going on. Now, there's a British movie, I think it was done in the 60s.
You're talking about the village?
No, not the Village of the Dam. No, it was where the children turned on the parents. It gave no explanation, but it was way better because it more went into the survival, how you would survive this, right? I like things explained or like give me a hint.
Give me a theory.
Yeah, I don't care what it is.
Well, they did have a couple
that's all I
theories.
need.
at
Funny
least.
enough, I didn't even notice Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair, who I thought could be played by anybody who could be psychotic. You know what I mean? It's like they weren't any more special than anybody else who could play a crazy person trying to kill their kids, right? So in that way, Nicolas Cage disappointed me. But I realized it could have been anybody who did those roles.
I'm sorry. Like, made me think when I just thought of it. I know what you did last summer. Kind of that.
Yeah, that was a bad movie too.
But none of those actors could have done another crazy.
Yes,
There you
another.
go. Yes.
Naomi Campbell or something.
Yeah, I know those bad movies. Yeah, so I didn't like it for that because to me, either get into the survival part where you're just trying to survive this whole thing, or tell me the plot so it makes some kind of sense. But it didn't make any sense for me, and nobody likes Nicolas Cage as well as Bob than I do, and I didn't even notice him. It could have been anybody.
One thing I do find about Nicolas Cage, every role he plays, I wonder if Nicolas Cage, could anybody else play that role?
Yes.
And it's no.
In that
And my
movie- in that
answer
movie, yes.
and my answer is that Nicolas Cage makes it so much his part that you can't imagine anybody else playing it. That
In most cases,
You
I
know,
would agree,
but
but not in
I
this
have a-
movie.
Yeah, but I'm supposed to let's say for Kevin Costner, for example, when I hear the Nicolas Cage voice, I go, "That's Nicolas Cage."
Yeah.
A lot of actors will be like, "I wonder who that is." Even his voice is so distinct.
Yes. Okay. So
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this. I don't think it is unexplained.
okay.
It's
What's
not.
the
It's
explanation? Maybe I missed it.
it's a make believe world. It's not the real world. It's like a Tim Burton Hollywood town where nothing is real about it. So the fact is, very likely what's going on is that it's just the artificiality has driven everybody crazy. So I mean, I can go and I can give you a theory that's my theory on it. It's not necessarily what the case is, but I also. We're talking about how violent it is. It's very kinetic, but I don't think there's ever any blood in this.
I don't think it's that violent at all. Oh, it's
Patty
chasing
watched this
people.
search
But also,
on
I
it.
think they do have a lot of. Like you say, I say not explain, but they do give you a lot of plausible explanations for it. Now it's more like up to you. But to me, that was enough that any one of those reasons would made sense.
Okay.
Like
This
what
was,
happened.
this
they
was
didn't
what-
make sense
one of the
to me.
explanations that I read.
Follow the science.
We are told not to overthink this or even ask all the questions you are asking. To me, that's not what you do with the
Well,
movie.
and if it's a fictitious town,
Mm-hmm.
then it should be like when I watch what's it called, Wayward Pines.
Oh, I love
I know it's a fictitious town.
Right.
Or when I watch Edward Scissorhands, I know it's a fictitious place. They do not qualify that. They do not say that. They appear as if they're
A
town
normal, everyday
USA.
town.
Yeah, but there's a payoff in Wayward Pines that's like one of the great payoffs of all time as to what's going on.
Yeah, but they make sure that you know
You
it's
understand.
not.
They give you the
it's
setup,
not-
but then they explain.
But it's not. Yes, I
But in
understand
this
that.
movie, they don't.
They don't.
But you know what?
Yes, but they don't qualify it that we're somewhere that's not on Earth.
But I think
that we're
Lance right.
here.
They might have set it up for a sequel, and that
God,
would have
no.
been more in depth.
Oh, like Quiet Place with
like-
the-
I also
Some
want
movies.
to mention Lance Henriksen in this movie too, because when he comes into this film, it's like we're in the house. The kids are being threatened by the parents because a parent when they see their child wants to kill
Yes.
them, and then his father and mother show up at the door.
like,
Nicolas
I
Cage's
forgot
mother and
wait.
father show up at
That
the door,
was good.
so he's fighting them because they're trying to kill him.
It's like, oh, I forgot we're having dinner with the grandparents.
Okay, so are we? I think
Yes.
we've.
Oh, yeah.
Ready to direct.
Yes, I think we have. Oh, so me.
Yeah.
I give it a 6.
I give it an 8.
I give it a 4.
I give it a 4 also.
10.
We have a fan.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that ends this episode of What the Flicks podcast, episode 55. Remember to subscribe and hit the like button. And I think we're good. So until next time. Adios.
Adios.
So long, folks. That's all, folks.